Hi, welcome to the podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start conversation on Unit 25 Critical Issues in Open and Distance Learning. In last unit, we have studied the social and philosophical foundation of ODL. In this unit, we shall discuss certain critical issues that affect the functioning and growth of ODL system. Earlier, distance education was considered to be an alternative to the conventional system of education that provides instructions in a face-to-face manner. However, now it is no longer merely an alternative or second choice, but a system in its own right that is gaining popularity as the first choice of thousands of people seeking higher education. Since it started in 1962 in India as correspondence education, it has covered a long way, mainly due to the great degree of flexibility and openness attached to it. It is today popularly known as Open and Distance Learning (ODL) system. The popularity of this system lies in its ability to reach out to people from geographically different places, remote areas, and to those with varying social and academic backgrounds. The thousands who, for a variety of reasons, find themselves unable to enroll in institutions requiring physical presence of the learners find in the ODL system the answer to their problems. The term open in ODL implies greater access to educational system, greater flexibility within the system, and greater independence of the learner studying through this system. Although learners may or may not be at distance from the institution offering ODL, the greatest advantage for the learners is that they need not be physically present in at institution. This is the main reason why ODL as a system is undergoing rapid growth and expansion, for ensuring that the growth of this system is not only rapid but also healthy. There are certain critical issues that need to be addressed appropriately. In this unit, we shall study some of the critical issues pertaining to the ODL, such as equity and access, cost effectiveness, use of technology, networking, quality, need for research, and apprehensions as to the impact of the rapid growth of ODL. These issues are considered to be critical because they have a direct bearing upon the healthy growth of the ODL system and its ability to achieve its goal. Now let us move to the next point, equity and access. In this section, we shall discuss first the role of ODL in bringing about equity in educational opportunities and thereafter about access to such opportunities. First, let us discuss the need for equity and the means for achieving it. The system of ODL, as we know, emerged mainly to equalize educational opportunities and thus democratize it. It was being increasingly felt the world over that the conventional system of education can cater to the educational needs of only some of the aspirants seeking higher education, while the rest are left out. At the same time, it was accepted that the education is the only means of ushering in social development, and that more than the erstwhile important land, labor, and capital, knowledge is becoming the driving force of the economies of the world. Therefore, for the progress of the individual and the prosperity of the nation, ODL is the only potential means of bringing in equity through educational opportunities for one and all. As we know, the barriers of admitting huge number of students in the conventional system are their limited infrastructure and limited teaching force. But in ODL, these barriers can be easily overcome, and the benefits of the infrastructure and teaching force already available can be multiplied several times to serve a huge population of students simultaneously. Therefore, in a situation with ever escalating demand for enrollment along with the paucity of human and financial resources, one practical choice was to opt for open universities in order to provide higher education. In the rising popularity of the democratic form of government all over the world during the last century resulted in national policies that led to the democratization of educational opportunities too. With the realization of the potential of the distance education, state policies were framed in this regard as a part of the national policies on education. It was felt that the needs pertaining to egalitarianism, modernization, rural development, continuing education for providing training to those in service, economic means of providing education, etc., that are directly related to the social development could be fulfilled to a great extent by resorting to ODL. These needs are mostly the needs of the nation and its masses. Hence, ODL, while attempting to fulfill these needs, purports to uplift the masses through equalizing educational opportunities. There are people in our country who live in geographically remote and isolated places like difficult hilly terrains, remote border areas, isolated island, etc. While people are deprived of proper educational facilities due to the lack of institutions offering higher education, such people can benefit through the educational opportunities brought to their doorstep by ODL. There are also many people who had to drop out the formal system of education and discontinue their studies due to a number of reasons. They may find it too late or inconvenient to rejoin the conventional system of education with its too many rigidities. Distance education, which is more flexible, can be the choice of such people. Also, the people who are in service and require professional development will constantly need to update their knowledge and skills, undergo orientation programs and other sorts of trainings. With the demands placed by the changing economic and technological scenario and the ever expanding knowledge base, ODL happens to be the viable means for providing training and fulfilling the educational needs of the in service people. The next point is access to education. We have discussed the ODL is the means to bringing about equity in the field of education and making it accessible to a wide cross section of people. However, accessibility in the true sense means not only accessibility of the educational opportunities, but also that following enrollment in the educational programs, the learners are not deterred in any way by the complications of learning from a distance. This requires adequate student support services. Moreover, the nature of the programs should be such that they fulfill the divergent and dynamic needs of the learners. Let us discuss the first issue, that is the necessity to provide student support. It is well known that the dropout rate in distance education is quite high, and there is also the allegation that quantity mean huge enrollment is not matched by the quality of the student support, leading to higher attrition rate. It is not enough to provide educational packages to the adult learners, especially those who may be new learners. It is more important that they are provided with adequate student support so that they remain motivated and do not drop out. Student support in the form of adequate academic and non-academic counseling, tutoring, face-to-face contact programs wherever necessary, opportunities for practical training, etc., should be an integral part of the educational programs so as to improve the accessibility of available educational opportunities. Now let us discuss the second issue, that is the need for socially relevant programs. It is important that through ODL, educational programs that would fulfill the educational needs of the masses in the true sense are provided. Unlike the earlier practice, which emphasized that the educational programs are mainly of the academic value, ODL has to be treated as the channel that would provide education which is not only of academic value but also need based and caters to the diverse requirement of the learners. For instance, there are today pressing social problems like illiteracy, female foticides, AIDS, etc., that require mass education programs. There is also the need to provide educational programs that would bring about rural development and women empowerment. Programs for adult education, for training those in service, and for improving the functioning of those pursuing different occupations like farming, running poultry, etc., are required for mass education, continuing education, and above all for making education a guarantor of social and economic development. Indira Gandhi National Open University IGNOU and several other open learning institutions of our country have educational programs of academic value as well as those that can fulfill these requirements. Teacher education programs that are training thousands of teachers at different levels of education every year. Programs for generating awareness about AIDS and for empowerment of women, those catering to the needs of the farmers, engineers, doctors, nurses, are some such programs that have social relevance. Accessibility has yet another connotation, While offering programs, it is to be seen if the technology is integrated, keep the program within the reach of the target group. Hence, while designing educational programs, whether the expenses incurred for purchasing the hardware and the software is within the means of the learners needs to be considered. Also, whether the infrastructure generally available permits their use has also been seen. A course with softwares integrated into it that requires heavy financial investment by the learners can adversely affect accessibility. Therefore, it has to be ensured that ODL not only makes education accessible to many but also fulfills their diverse needs so as to bring about human resources development in diverse areas. Then only would be the social development brought about by education spread out evenly throughout the country and not just in urban areas. Here we wind up this conversation and thank you so much for choosing this podcast.